Last time, on Learn Chinese Now, we saw the brutal and pivotal battle of Chǎngpíng that paved the way for the Qin Dynasty's rise to power, where a dude named Bai Qi literally steamrolled an entire 1% of China's entire population. Alive. But as Newton might have said, what goes up must come down, and the Qin Dynasty would soon have to fall. Fall they did, at the similarly brutal battle of Jùlù之战. I give you part 2 of the 5 more epic battles of Chinese history. The Revenge of the Nephew. Fights on. The Qin Dynasty officially began in 221 BC, but after the first Qin emperor died in 210 BC, the government quickly devolved into a weakened, nasty mess of conspiracy and infighting. The same states that the Qin had curb-stomped to unify the country a mere decade ago now took this chance to rise up and get their revenge. Before we get into the actual battle, we need to set the stage. It's 207 BC. Qin forces were going around crushing these rebellions and had just defeated an army of the state of Chu and took out their commander, Xiang. They then kept going and directly threatened the capital of the Zhōu state, the same one from our last episode. And the Zhōu called for help again. But unlike before, everyone was cool with them now. And so the king of the Chu state sent an army led by a smart strategist called Song Yi, with his second in command, Xiang Yu, the 25-year-old nephew of the Chu commander that the Qin just killed, Xiang. Song Yi set up camp near the Zhōu capital and sat around for over a month making preparations. But Xiang Yu wanted to get going already, anxious for vengeance and valor. Song Yi, though, called him an idiot and told him to sit still and not do anything stupid or he'd be executed. Now, as you can imagine, telling a hot-headed young guy to chill out never ends well. The thing is, Xiang Yu wasn't just some nepo baby with more angst than sense. He was actually one heck of a fighter and a very capable commander. And well, as you can imagine, things soon escalated quickly. On the 46th day of the encampment, or, as Xiang Yu saw it, the 46th day of twiddling their thumbs and doing literally jack squat, Song Yi set up a big private banquet to send his son off on a diplomatic mission to another state. And not only did his troops not get to enjoy any of the fun or food, they were all stuck out in the rain while the big smart man was partying in comfort. And that's when Xiang Yu saw his chance. Using everyone's discontent to his advantage, he busted into Song Yi's tent the next morning and murdered him, announcing that the Chu king told him to take Song Yi out because he was in cahoots with that other state. Satisfied that Song Yi got what was coming to him and afraid that Xiang Yu would beat them all up, nobody made any objections. And when the Chu king heard about it, there was nothing he could do but make the young upstart the new commander. Now, the fight was really on. The Zhōu defenses were stuck at a critical defensive point about 100 kilometers northwest of their capital, called Julu, literally giant deer. Yeah, I'm not quite sure where that came from. Anyway, they were being starved to death by the surrounding Qin army. Xiang Yu first sent a few expeditionary forces to back them up a little bit and get a feel for the situation. And after scoring a few small victories over the course of a few months, he decided it was time. Let's freaking go, you Qin scoundrels. Xiang Yu led around 50,000 troops across the Yellow River to Julu, telling his forces to pack light and carry only a few days' worth of food, destroy their pots and pans, and sink their boats. This became the idiom, 破釜沉舟. 破 means to break, 釜 means cauldron, 沉 means sink, and 舟 is a boat. So literally, breaking cauldrons, sinking ships. The term signified a point of no return, essentially the Chinese equivalent of crossing the Rubicon, because now that they had no food and no way to retreat, their only options were to either defeat the 200,000 strong Qin army and take their stuff, or get annihilated in the process. And it's not like there was much food left in Julu anyway. And so, Xiang Yu and his men fought like mad. Armies from other rebel states had arrived to help, but were all so spooked at the odds, they were all like, nah, I don't think there's any way we can win this, and just spectated from a distance, leading to another idiom, 坐壁上观. 坐 means to sit, 壁 is a wall, 上 means on top, and 观 is to spectate, literally sitting on the walls watching. But to everyone's surprise, his much smaller army of ragtag rebels killed over 100,000 Qin troops with nothing more than sheer tenacity, leading to yet another idiom, 以一当十. 以 is to use or with, 一 is one, 当 is as, and 十 is 10, as in using 1 for 10. Okay, maybe a little bit of an exaggeration, but it's a pretty solid KD ratio. The other rebel forces could only watch in awe and embarrassment, and all 80+ thousand of them submitted themselves to Xiang Yu's command after that. The Qin retreated and regrouped with another force of 200,000, about 100 miles away. Before they could decide what to do with themselves, Xiang Yu already swooped in and had them surrounded. Seeing the writing on the wall, they surrendered without a fight. But the problem was, he now had 200,000 extra enemy soldiers to feed, and there was no way of telling if they would cause trouble later down the line. As if his earlier power grab wasn't brutal enough, he took a page out of Baiqi's playbook and buried all 200,000 of them alive. Not nearly as bad as what happened last time at the Battle of Chǎngpíng, but still. If it's any consolation, even though Xiang Yu would continue taking butt and kicking names with such expertise that he would gain enough power to get a shot at establishing his own dynasty, he would still be defeated at the Battle of Gaixia, as mentioned here in our original Epic Battles video, by a former Chu general called Liu Bang. Liu Bang would start the Han Dynasty in 202 BC, and his grandson would bring about another, even more edge-of-your-seat battle, the incredible upset at the Battle of Maverick, 之战. But that's a tale for next time on the 5 more epic battles of Chinese history. Remember to subscribe and hit that bell icon to know when it comes out. Or even better, join our channel membership for early access if you can't wait to see what happens. Until next time, 再见! If you enjoy the deeper meaning behind Chinese culture, folklore, legends, and strange true stories, then come explore more with me on Jared Tells Tales, where mystery, meaning, and the otherworldly still live on. Click the link to watch your first tale.